Hey guys, Ernie here. Today we are back working on the 22 WRX, and I'll be showing you guys how to install this shiny new top mount intercooler from Cobb Tuning. Now we all know aftermarket intercoolers offer a host of benefits such as increased cooling capability, helping you reduce your chances of heat soak. Now, but Cobb's tests also show that this core actually flows up to 30% better than the stock one. Now, install-wise, this will be a little bit more tedious than other options available for the car as well. Cobb spent the extra time and effort to design their own air diverter for it. You see, with the stock air diverter, this intercooler being bigger, some of its extra size would basically go unused. So props to Cobb for taking the extra time to make sure that we can get the most out of this increased core size. Without further ado, let me show you guys how to get this on your car. As you guys may already be able to tell, we have an ETS top mount already installed. No worries though, the install instructions will be just the same for this as if you have the stock OEM intercooler. Now you may be wondering, what's this yellow stuff I have wiped all over the place? This is some marking compound because I was interested to see how much of the ETS core actually gets used with the stock air diverter. As you can see, it's pretty much all of it, but we do have this 3/4 inch section up here that seems to get no air. So I'll be redoing this test once we get the Cobb intercooler on and the Cobb air diverter. Let's get cracking. First thing you'll want to do is undo these two 12mm bolts that hold it onto the throttle body. Now on the driver's side, you want to undo this 12mm mounting bolt. We can leave the bracket on this side in place. Now the passenger side will want to also undo this mounting bolt, but then we'll also undo this bracket. Having one of the brackets off will just make it easier to line everything up once it's going back in. Last thing we have to do to release our intercooler is undo these retaining clips for the charge pipe. You'll see a little groove for them to sit in once they're released. Simply grab a flathead and pry upward, maybe help guide it into that groove. They do like to be a little bit finicky sometimes. This one seems to not want to clip in all the way. And there we are. And that's our intercooler removed. Now let's transfer over all these bits to our Cobb one. First, we need to remove our charge pipe, 3 12mm bolts. Next, use a pick to gently pry out the outlet O-ring, or I guess you can also just do it by hand. Last thing you have to transfer over are the little mounting grommets on either side of the intercooler. They have a little metal insert that you will have to push out first. Then once that's out, these will just usually come out by hand. Here we go. Now do the other side and then transfer everything over to your Cobb intercooler. Be sure to install your metal inserts in the correct orientation. Now that all these stock parts are transferred over, the last thing we need to do is to replace this OEM coupler with one that Cobb provides. You have two 7mm hose clamps, but I'll just use a flathead. So you can see it is going to take a bit of prying to get off because this pinch clamp in the middle really makes it tense even with the hose clamps loose. Also, don't forget to remove this from the coupler because we'll need this to attach to the charge pipe. All right, once you have this all tightened down, we can put the intercooler back in the car. All right, so we have the intercooler core part of this kit fully installed, and honestly, if you didn't feel like doing anything else, you probably could just stop here. I did do the contact test with the Cobb intercooler, and it seems like it's the same exact case as with, well, the ETS intercooler. There's a good 3/4 of an inch where it seems like it won't get any airflow. So since mama didn't raise no quitter, it's time to start prepping our Cobb air diverter. So in this kit, you get this thick piece of weather stripping that you're going to want to run all along the edge here on the Cobb thrust tunnel. Now, I'd recommend starting somewhere in the middle of one of the sides. That way, when you cut it off snug, they won't push each other off like they would in a corner. Now, when you get to a corner, you're going to want to either A, cut it off completely, but I highly recommend that you instead make little relief cuts in the bottom here. Those of you who have any experience in upholstering will know exactly what I'm talking about. But for those of you that don't, well, I'm about to show you. So once you get to a corner like I have here, you're going to want to grab a pair of dikes, as the bottom part of the stripping is reinforced with wire, and just simply make a little relief cut. So back it off, mark it if you want to. Take your dikes and cut right through it. Now that will allow the weather stripping to bend around the corner, like so, and then you can simply continue on and rinse and repeat on every corner. Now, once you've gotten all the way around, I'd suggest cutting off a little bit less than you'll think you'll need to. That way, A, you can get it to fit real snugly, or B, not accidentally cut off too much, and then have to try and find some more weather stripping. And voila, as you can see, we fit together nice and snug. Now we can start working on taking off the OEM shroud off of the hood. All right, now it is time to remove the OEM shroud. There's a total of 9 pop clips all along the edges, and you have 4 8mm bolts. Scratch that. There's actually an additional 2 pop clips inside the actual air shroud. Now that the shroud is off of the car, we need to separate the OEM air diverter from it, which is this rubber piece right here. You'll have 2 rows of these really annoying plastic rivets. As you can see, I've already gotten rid of a row. Best method I found is to just grab a pair of dikes, try and get under it, and then snip it off. Don't worry about being too gentle with the plastic here, because we'll end up trimming somewhere up to like right around here just in a second anyways. Oh, looks like we also have some on the sides here. All right, and that is the OEM air diverter off. All right, now you're going to want to line up some of the top bolt holes on the Cobb thrust tunnel with the OEM shroud. Then you're going to want to loosely put a few bolts in. All right, so once you have a few bolts started, go ahead and flip it over. Then grab a silver Sharpie or something else that can leave a clear marking on black plastic, and simply mark the holes where you're going to drill. Once you're done marking your bolt holes, you're going to want to leave a few little marks here in the cracks to know how far to trim the plastic. Once you have all of that marked, go ahead and pull your bolts out and pull the thrust tunnel off of the shroud. Now grab something that will help you line up all 4 markings. Go just slightly under them, and then draw a straight line. Oh, messed up there a little bit. No worries. Should still work just fine. Cut off all of this plastic below the line. I'll be using a little scalpel to do it. You can use anything from a reciprocating blade to a razor blade. I just rather be nice, gentle, and precise with it. All right, after cutting, I just briefly sanded this a little bit, because cutting it, with a little scalpel isn't exactly super straight, but Cobb provides some extra weather stripping for specifically this edge right here, so you can go ahead and apply it. And voila, weather stripping is applied. Before you start drilling your holes, it's probably best to do one more test fit. It looks like all of our markings but one still line up, so we'll just put another mark through it. Next, grab a 6mm or a 1/4 drill bit and drill through them. With your holes drilled, you can begin the final install of the thrust tunnel. Now remember, if some of your holes end up not lining up, you can always go up a couple sizes of drill bit. Shouldn't really cause an issue. Once all your bottom ones are bolted down, go ahead and tighten all the rest of them up. The nuts are going to be 10mm, and the Allen is a 4mm that's also provided. All right, now we're all nice and tight. We can go ahead and slap this back onto our hood. All right, so at my first test, I actually couldn't get this lip to touch the intercooler at all. Then I noticed that it was curving towards the back of the car. So what I did is cut it off completely, flip it, and now it seems like it wants to point towards the front of the car instead. So let's see what happens. Give it a nice little smush. All right, moment of truth. And look at that. That is beautiful. Let me get you guys a slightly better angle here. As you can see, it seems like we're making nice and even contact with this weld bead right here at the very beginning of the core. And then on the side, it seems like this is wrapping around the side of the intercooler and sealing there, which is also beautiful. Seems like the back actually tags the hood weather stripping, but then still makes beautiful contact right on the back beads. And on the other side, we also have the same result. So overall, lovely to see. This will just make sure that we're using all of this core size to its maximum potential. All right guys, that'll about conclude our VB WRX Cobb top mount installation. If any of you enjoyed or perhaps found it useful, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll have plenty more content for our little ugly duckling coming soon. And in case you want to pick a Cobb top mount up for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description down below. As always guys, I hope all of you are having a great day. I'll see you guys in the next one.